Have you ever walked into a room and immediately felt that something was off? A handshake that's just a little too firm, a smile that seems forced, a glance that flickers past you quicker than usual. Your mind may not have figured it out yet, but your body has already sensed the deception in the air. Evil doesn't always reveal itself outright. It rarely comes with a menacing look or blatant behavior. In fact, the most dangerous people often appear completely normal, sometimes even trustworthy. They could be a friendly co-worker, a kind neighbor, or even a family member. But there's one thing evil cannot tolerate: the moment it realizes you've seen through it. And when that happens, it changes. You'll notice it becoming uneasy, defensive, or in some cases more dangerous than ever. Manipulators despise being exposed, and they will do everything in their power to protect their facade. But this is where Stoic thinking becomes invaluable. A Stoic does not react with fear or anger. They observe, they understand, and they act with precision and calm. No need for arguments, no loss of control. Just awareness, steady resolve, and an unwillingness to be manipulated. In today's video, we'll uncover 9 clear signs that an evil person realizes you've figured them out. Through the lens of Stoic philosophy, you'll learn how to recognize them, maintain your composure, and face deception with intelligence. Because sometimes your greatest weapon isn't physical strength, but clarity and unshakable calm. The first sign. Evil emits an unusual vibe. Have you ever stood near someone and felt an unsettling energy? Something you couldn't see but that crept into your senses? That's not a coincidence. That's a warning. Everything in life, including people, emits energy. We don't just communicate through words or actions. We also send out vibrations that our subconscious mind constantly picks up on. When you come face to face with someone who harbors ill intentions, your body and mind know it, long before you can rationally explain it. And when a toxic person realizes that you've seen through them, their energy shifts in a way they can't conceal. This shift is not random. When exposed, an evil person loses control over their natural state. Their once flicked speech becomes forced, their gestures stiffen, their gaze flickers away too quickly, their smile struggles to mask unease. But more importantly, you will feel an overwhelming sense of instability. It's not just about their outward behavior. It's a deep, vibrating signal of fear radiating from their core. Toxic people never want to lose control. When they feel threatened, they scramble to regain dominance. You might notice them suddenly taking an unusual interest in you, asking unnecessary questions, invading your personal space, even watching you more closely. But make no mistake, this is not curiosity, it's surveillance. According to Stoic philosophy, your self-control is your greatest weapon. Epictetus once said, "We are not disturbed by things, but by the view we take of them." When faced with the negative energy of a deceitful person, remain calm. Recognize that their behavior is merely the reaction of someone desperately clinging to power. Do not let their unease become your burden. Instead of reacting instinctively, observe, analyze, and maintain your inner stability. Evil may try to manipulate everything, but it cannot control the mind of someone who understands their own worth. Ask yourself, do these negative vibrations truly affect you? Or are they merely a test of your resilience and composure? Evil can take many forms, but it can never defeat a mind that is clear, steady, and unshaken. Have you ever encountered someone who gave off an unusual energy? How did you respond? Share your story in the comments so we can discuss and learn how to face such people with a Stoic mindset. Sign 2. Evil deliberately makes you feel inferior. Evil doesn't need to shout or use violence to control you. It has a more insidious weapon, making you doubt yourself. One of the most common tactics of toxic individuals is to undermine your confidence, planting seeds of inferiority to manipulate you more easily. Imagine confiding in someone about a personal struggle, expecting empathy, only to receive responses like, "You should have known better by now," or "How could you do something so stupid?" These seemingly harmless words leave you feeling insecure, ashamed, and gradually cause you to question your own abilities. This is not accidental, it's a deliberate strategy. Toxic people want you trapped in a cycle of self-doubt. When you start asking yourself, "Do I really understand anything about life?" or "Am I just too foolish?" you become easier to control. Once you lose trust in yourself, you start seeking validation from the very people who made you feel small. And that's when they gain control. This is how evil operates. It doesn't want you strong, it wants you dependent. When you no longer believe in yourself, you won't dare challenge them, you won't dare ask questions, and you'll become more and more pliable. Belittling words only have power if you let them. In Stoic philosophy, a person's value does not come from how others perceive them, but from how they control their own thoughts and emotions. Epictetus once said, "We are not disturbed by what happens, but by how we interpret it." When someone tries to make you feel small, take a step back. Don't react immediately. Observe, but don't let their words infiltrate your mind. Manipulators use this tactic because they fear your strength. They fear you realizing the truth. Ask yourself, do these words truly define my worth? Do I really need this person's approval? Toxic people may try to make you feel insignificant, but that only works if you believe them. And the truth is, no one can take away your worth unless you allow them to. Don't seek validation from those who don't deserve it. Don't let their words define who you are. A Stoic-minded individual does not let emotions be dictated by the negativity of others. They draw strength from self-awareness and inner tranquility. Manipulators seek to control you through doubt, but only if you let them into your mind. You can't control what others say or do, but you always control how you respond. And composure is what evil fears the most. Remember, your worth does not come from how others judge you, but from how you face life. When someone tries to make you feel inferior, it is not the truth, it is a trap. Don't fall for it. Hold on to your confidence, and evil will never be able to control you. Section 3. Evil constructs a new reputation. Evil never faces the truth. It manipulates, it evades, and when exposed, it doesn't reform, it reinvents itself. Toxic individuals never admit their mistakes or take responsibility for the harm they've caused. When they realize you've seen through them, they don't change for the better, they change tactics. They create an entirely new reputation. Have you ever witnessed this? Someone once known for deceit, cruelty, or manipulation suddenly emerges with a completely different story. They deny their past, offer justifications, or even paint themselves as the victim, the misunderstood one, the one who has suffered injustice, the one who deserves sympathy. This is not genuine remorse. It's a carefully orchestrated performance. Malicious individuals understand the power of perception. They know that if they can control how others see them, they can not only escape accountability but also manipulate you once again. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "Our soul is dyed by the color of our thoughts." These people exploit that truth, planting a new image of themselves in your mind, making you question the very reality you once saw clearly. You may have encountered a colleague known for lying or betraying others, but when they realize you've seen their true nature, they don't continue their old ways overtly. Instead, they start constructing a completely different persona. Someone who has matured, someone who has realized their mistakes, someone who has changed. They may share stories of hardship, the lessons they've supposedly learned, or even declare that they are a completely different person now. But if you observe closely, you'll notice one thing. This is not transformation, it's a more sophisticated disguise. This tactic not only protects their reputation, but also makes you doubt yourself. The moment you start wondering, am I being too harsh? Could I have misunderstood them? You've already stepped into their trap. The new story they weave is not a reflection of genuine change, it's a tool designed to distort your perception. And here's the key point: the truth doesn't change just because a new story is being told. Stoic philosophy reminds us that a person's true nature is revealed through consistent actions, not through grand proclamations. When a malicious individual tries to reinvent their image after being exposed, don't just listen to what they say, watch what they do. Always remember, no matter how much they alter their outward appearance, their true nature will always surface in the small details. Contradictory words, inconsistent behavior, or simply the energy they project. Don't overlook these signs. When evil knows you have seen it for what it is, it will try to deceive you with a different narrative. But the truth remains the truth, and a clear mind will never be swayed by illusions crafted by others. Sign 4. Evil weaves more lies to cover itself. Lies never stay in one place. Once exposed, they don't disappear. They multiply, spread, and tangle into a complex web. Toxic individuals understand this better than anyone. When confronted with the truth, they don't take responsibility. Instead, they fabricate new lies to cover the old ones. This is not a random reflex, it's a deliberate strategy. They know that if they can control the narrative, they can control how you perceive them. More importantly, they can make you doubt the very truth you once saw with your own eyes. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "A man cannot learn what he thinks he already knows." Chronic liars operate the same way. They never learn from their mistakes because they never admit they were wrong. Instead, they build more layers of deception, twist the story to their advantage, and distort your perception so that you believe what they want you to believe. Pay attention to how a liar reacts when caught. An honest person, even if they make mistakes, will face the truth. But a toxic individual will deflect, manipulate, and create a new reality to protect themselves. If you present evidence, they'll say, "You're remembering it wrong." If the truth is undeniable, they'll downplay it. "It's not as serious as you think." If they can't deny it, they'll play the victim. "I didn't mean to. I was forced into this." Each excuse is not an apology. It's another link in the chain of deception. And the moment you start questioning yourself, wondering, "Am I overreacting? Could I be misinterpreting this?" they have succeeded. They haven't just deceived you about reality, they've made you lose confidence in your own judgment. When lies become a trap, at this point, evil is no longer just in words. It has become a psychological game. Toxic individuals know that the more people believe their story, the less accountability they face. They will pull others into their web, spread falsehoods, and turn the truth into such a chaotic mess that no one can tell what's real anymore. You may have seen this before. Someone gets exposed for their wrongdoing, but instead of taking responsibility, they twist the situation, craft new justifications, seek sympathy from others, and even shift the blame onto you. When this happens, remember one thing: the truth does not change just because more layers of deception are added. Malicious people believe that if they can control the story, they can control you, but that only works if you let them manipulate your thoughts. Stoic philosophy teaches that while we cannot control the actions of others, we can control how we respond. When dealing with a liar, don't argue, don't try to prove the truth to them. They don't care about the truth. The only thing you need to do is refuse to be drawn into their game. An honest person does not need to fabricate multiple versions of a story. The truth stands on its own. And if someone keeps adjusting, changing, and expanding their narrative, that is the clearest sign they are hiding something. The truth does not need protection. Only liars need to constantly construct layers to conceal it. Toxic people may create as many stories as they want, but the truth remains unchanged. And if you maintain clarity and refuse to be manipulated by their falsehoods, you strip them of their greatest weapon, the ability to control your perception. Always remember, you cannot stop others from lying, but you can choose not to be trapped in their web. Evil may weave endless stories, but a clear mind will never be blinded. sign. 5. They only show up when they need something. Have you ever known someone who always seems to care, always knows just the right moment to appear, but only when they need something from you? When things are going well in your life, they stay close, seeking connection, even acting sweet and sincere. But the moment you face difficulties, they disappear without a trace. Then, as soon as you overcome your struggles on your own, they suddenly reappear, armed with seemingly reasonable excuses, pretending that their absence never happened. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once had a student like this. Whenever he had a problem, he would seek out Epictetus, asking for advice, hoping for help. And Epictetus, generous with his wisdom, offered guidance without expecting anything in return. But when Epictetus himself faced challenges and needed support, that same student was nowhere to be found. No concern, no sign of genuine care. Yet, as soon as Epictetus had resolved his troubles on his own, the student returned, full of justifications, pretending as if his absence had never been an issue. But Epictetus was not deceived. He did not get angry, nor did he feel bitter, nor did he demand explanations. He simply saw through the student's nature. A person who only sought him out for personal gain, not out of sincerity. And because he saw clearly, he refused to let such insincerity disturb his peace or take advantage of him again. People like this do not invest in relationships sincerely. They do not build real connections, nor do they care about who you are. They only care about what you can offer them. As long as you hold value in their eyes, whether through support, money, opportunities, or simply as a source of encouragement, they will be present, playing the role of a good friend. But the moment you need help, the moment you struggle, they silently withdraw. Not because they don't know you need them, but because they see no benefit in helping you. And then, when the storm has passed, when you've stood up on your own, when you are no longer weak or dependent on anyone, they return, pretending as if they never left. They offer apologies, seemingly reasonable explanations, and perhaps even a touch of guilt. But pay close attention. They are not truly sorry for abandoning you. They are only sorry that you now see them for what they really are. Opportunists always weigh the cost and benefit. When you have something to offer, they stay. When you don't, they leave without hesitation. And when you've moved forward without them, they return. Not to make amends, but to continue the cycle of taking. If you give them another chance, they will vanish again the next time you need a shoulder to lean on. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good person should be. Be one. Live by your principles, regardless of how others behave. Do what is right, not because you expect anything in return, but because it is the path you choose. But do not let your kindness become an opportunity for others to exploit." When you begin to see opportunists for who they are, when you stop giving them what they seek, you will notice their presence in your life fading. But this is not a loss, it is a liberation. A relationship built on calculation was never real to begin with. And when you let go of such people, you create space, time, and energy to invest in those who truly deserve it. Sign 6. When evil tries to control your mind. Evil doesn't just manipulate your actions, it seeks to control your thoughts, stripping you of your autonomy without you even realizing it. When a manipulator targets you, their goal is not to make you better, but to make you dependent on them, little by little, until you no longer trust yourself. Manipulation isn't about issuing direct orders. It's a subtle invasion, disguised as concern and kindness. Manipulators don't scream in your face or openly force you. Instead, they whisper into your mind, planting seeds of doubt, exploiting your vulnerabilities and deepest fears, the ones you've never shared with anyone. They don't help you overcome your struggles. They turn your struggles into tools of control. Manipulators are masters of emotion. They know how to read people, how to tap into your deepest desires, and how to guide you into a web where they hold all the strings. They may appear attentive, understanding, and empathetic, but their concern is not genuine. It's a strategy. They want you to feel indebted to them, to believe that only they truly understand and support you, that you cannot face life on your own. And here's the key. The moment you start believing that you need them, you've fallen into their trap. Once you become dependent on their validation, you become more susceptible to their influence, slowly losing your ability to make independent decisions. They don't need to control you by force. They make you willingly hand them the power. But manipulation isn't just a psychological game, it's a war on your freedom. Manipulators don't stop at controlling your thoughts. They gradually push your boundaries. At first, they persuade you to let go of something small, a personal value, a dream, a relationship they deem unsuitable. Then, step by step, they tighten their grip until they have control over your entire life. When you resist, they don't lash out in anger, they escalate their manipulation. They might make you feel guilty, blame you for misunderstanding their good intentions, or even pretend to be hurt so that you soften, but in reality, it's all part of a calculated plan. A manipulator will never let you go freely, because once you regain your independence, they lose their power. Stoic philosophy reminds us that true happiness does not come from being controlled by others, but from mastering our own minds. Allowing someone to manipulate you means surrendering control over your life and losing your sense of self. And that is the opposite of what wise individuals strive for, living freely, unbound by anyone's control but their own. A manipulator will not give up easily. They will do everything to keep you under their influence, even making you doubt yourself. They will distort the truth, craft stories to make you feel guilty, and convince you that you need them to feel secure. But remember, no one can control you unless you allow them to. Ask yourself, am I truly in control of my own thoughts, or is someone leading me in the direction they want? If you sense manipulation, set boundaries immediately, stand firm, and refuse to let anyone overstep the limits you have set for yourself. Evil will do everything to control you, but your freedom is in your hands. While you cannot control the actions of others, you always have control over how you respond. This is your true power, one that no one can take from you unless you give it away. Sign 7. When evil pretends to be innocent. One of the most deceptive tactics of malicious individuals is pretending they don't know what they've done wrong. When confronted, they don't admit fault or take responsibility. Instead, they act confused, play the role of the innocent party, or even cast themselves as the victim. They'll say things like, "I didn't know that hurt you," or "Why didn't you say something earlier?" Not because they genuinely don't understand, but because they want to twist the narrative and make you feel guilty for holding them accountable. This is more than just avoidance. It is a dangerous form of psychological manipulation. By pretending ignorance of their wrongdoing, they make you question your own emotions. They make you feel as if you've overreacted, that the situation isn't as serious as it seems, or worse, that you are unfairly blaming them. Epictetus once said, "People are not disturbed by events, but by the way they interpret them." Malicious individuals understand this well. They can't change reality, but they can distort your perception of it. The moment you start asking yourself, "Am I being too sensitive? Did I misunderstand?" you've fallen into the very trap they set. A trap designed to make you doubt your own feelings and judgment. This is how evil protects itself. Instead of facing consequences, it redirects attention, making you believe that the fault isn't entirely theirs. Even if you clearly express your emotions, even if you repeatedly call out their harmful behavior, they will still pretend they never heard you. And when you keep pressing for fairness, they'll turn the situation around, painting you as the one who complains too much, who can't let things go, who is simply too sensitive. But stop and think. If someone truly cared about you, they wouldn't need constant reminders that they've hurt you. If someone truly had integrity, they wouldn't wait until they were exposed to show remorse. Toxic people don't just avoid responsibility, they turn the situation into a psychological game where they are the misunderstood victim and you are the unreasonable accuser. They want you exhausted, confused, and eventually to give up. And if you do, they win. Not only do they escape accountability, but they also maintain control, continuing their harmful behavior without challenge. But Stoic philosophy teaches that you don't have to participate in this game. You cannot change how others behave, but you can control how you respond. When someone pretends to be innocent to escape responsibility, don't waste your energy trying to convince them or make them see their mistakes. They already know what they did. They don't need your explanation. They only need you to be weak enough to be manipulated. Stand firm. Don't let anyone make you question your emotions. The truth does not change just because someone pretends not to see it. A malicious person may put on an act, but if you are clear-minded, you will never be drawn into their performance. When you see through someone like this, they will do everything they can to avoid the truth. But the absence of remorse does not mean the absence of wrongdoing. Don't let anyone make you feel that demanding fairness is wrong. Don't let manipulation erode your trust in yourself. People like this are not worth your time. Sign 8. When evil panics and fights back aggressively. An honest person, when misunderstood, will calmly explain, engage in dialogue, and clarify any misunderstandings. But a guilty person, when confronted, reacts very differently. When they realize you've seen through them, they lose their composure. They will do everything in their power to deny, resist, or even attack you in order to protect their facade. They may start with soft justifications like, "You're misunderstanding me," or "That wasn't my intention." But when they see these words aren't enough to shake you, they quickly escalate, turning the conversation into a psychological battle. They refuse to take responsibility for their actions and instead push you into a defensive position. They'll say things like, "Why are you being so sensitive? You always overanalyze everything," or "You're being petty for holding on to this." Their goal is not to resolve the issue, but to make you question yourself. They want you to feel that you're being too harsh, that the issue isn't as serious as you think, that you're making a big deal out of nothing. The moment you begin to doubt your own emotions, they have successfully protected themselves without ever having to face the truth. Their sense of panic is not a sign of innocence, it's a sign of fear. When they react excessively, it's not because they are being falsely accused, but because they know their control is slipping. A person with integrity does not need to defend themselves with anger, nor do they need to shout to preserve their honor. But a malicious person knows that if they let you continue, their facade will collapse, and that loss of control terrifies them. They may shift from being defensive to being aggressive, attempting to divert attention by blaming you. They'll claim that you're exaggerating the issue, that you share the blame, that you haven't handled things correctly. And if shifting the blame doesn't work, they may resort to emotional manipulation, pretending to be hurt, expressing disappointment, or even breaking down in tears to make you feel guilty. This is not genuine remorse. It's a calculated tactic designed to make you back off. Stoic philosophy teaches that while you cannot control how others react, you can control how you respond to them. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Let others behave according to their nature. I will behave according to mine." When a manipulative person panics and resists aggressively, recognize it as the reaction of someone terrified of the truth. Do not argue, do not try to convince them, and do not expect a confession they will never give. Simply stand firm, hold your ground, and let their own actions expose them. The truth does not need defending. Only liars feel the need to scream and resist to protect themselves. Sign 9. When evil cuts off contact and disappears. When all attempts at manipulation, denial, justification, or resistance fail, when they realize that you are no longer easily controlled, that you are no longer drawn into their psychological games, they resort to their final tactic, disappearing, not because they feel remorse, not because they want to make amends, but because they know they can no longer control you. And to a manipulator, when they can no longer control you, they choose to remove you from their sphere of influence. You may notice this through abrupt changes in behavior. Someone who once frequently reached out, constantly texted, called, and shared with you, suddenly goes silent. A person who once tried to convince you that you were important to them, that they cared about you, now acts as if you never existed. They no longer attempt to manipulate or pull you into emotional loops, simply because they have realized you are no longer a pawn in their game. This is not a peaceful retreat, it is a calculated move. They disappear not to end the relationship in a healthy way, but to create a void, to make you feel their absence, to see if you will chase after them. If you were once accustomed to their presence, whether in a positive or negative way, this sudden silence might make you question yourself. Did I do something wrong? This is exactly what they want. They don't truly leave. They silently observe, waiting to see if you will weaken, if you will seek them out, if you will fall into a cycle of self-doubt. Malicious individuals never truly let go. They only walk away when they realize they have lost power over you. But the moment they sense a weakness, a moment of vulnerability, they return, often in a different form. They might reappear months or even years later, assuming you've forgotten what they did. They may return with a new story, a reinvented persona, or an apology that sounds sincere. But remember, a snake does not change its nature just because it sheds its skin. Stoic philosophy teaches that when someone leaves your life, it is not a loss, it is a cleansing. Marcus Aurelius once said, "What brings no value is not worth keeping." When a toxic person disappears, it is not an emptiness you need to fill. It is a burden you have just released. Do not dwell on what you could have done differently. Do not mistake their silence for a sign that you were wrong. A good person never needs to vanish to avoid accountability. If someone suddenly cuts off contact when they are exposed, it is not a sign of innocence. It is the ultimate sign of cowardice. When evil has nowhere left to hide, when it knows you are no longer easily manipulated, it will leave. But do not be mistaken. This is not a liberation for them. It is a liberation for you. When you see through someone's true nature, you are not just recognizing their manipulation, deceit, or exploitation. You are reclaiming control over your own life. Evil exists not because it is stronger, but because it thrives on blindness, on the illusions it creates, and on the trust you give it without question. But once you see it clearly, once you recognize the signs, it can no longer hide. Toxic individuals will resist, manipulate, and desperately cling to their power. They may deny, play the victim, lash out, or even disappear in a last attempt to maintain control. But when you stand firm, when you refuse to be drawn into their games, you take away their most dangerous weapon, their influence over your mind. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Others may decide how they behave, but I also have the right to decide how I respond." You cannot change a toxic person, nor can you make them remorseful or righteous. But you can choose not to be affected by them, not to be drawn into their cycles of deceit and manipulation. Do not fear losing toxic relationships. Be grateful that you have reclaimed your freedom. Do not mourn when someone leaves after you have seen through them. Understand that this is not a loss, but a step forward. True peace does not come from controlling others. It comes from controlling yourself. When you are no longer bound by manipulation, when you no longer feel the need to prove yourself to those unworthy, when you understand that your worth is not defined by anyone's approval, that is when you are truly free. So, be strong. Trust your intuition. Stand firm in your values. And above all, never let evil control your mind again.